Hey guys, today I'm going to be sharing with you my favorite books of 2019. So let's get going with this video, you guys. This is going to be my favorite books of 2019. These are going to be my personal favorites. Yeah, some of these books may not be the most amazingly written books in the world, but these are still my personal favorites. The books that I particularly enjoyed this year, the books that made me happy, made me cry, made me do whatever. So yeah, my personal favorites, because you may have a totally, completely different list from me. And yeah, as usual, every year, the way I do my favorite books of the year, I divide it up into two different categories. I do a category of books that were literally published in the year of 2019, and then I also do a category of books that I read that were published pre-2019. So that way I kind of have it a bit more fair as far as like ranking books go, I guess, if that makes sense. So yeah, I guess I'm going to start with my 5 favorite books released pre-2019. So yeah, not published in 2019, you guys. So yeah, I got 5 books to share with you. At number 5, I have The Help by Catherine Stockett, and this takes place in civil rights, 1960s Mississippi, following a young woman who has a talent for writing named Skeeter, and she has kind of this idea that she wants to go with, that she thinks might make for a good book, and she wants to basically interview all of the black women who work as maids to all of these more wealthy white women and whatnot. And yeah, these black women are cleaning the house, and they're going out and doing some shopping, and they're taking care of the children and whatnot. And so yeah, Skeeter thinks this would make for a great book topic, and to really get the voices of these black women out there and get their voices heard and whatnot, and let people around the world know about what it's like living in 1960s Mississippi, essentially, during the civil rights movement. Yeah, I adored this book. I loved the movie. I first saw the movie. I loved the movie, so yeah, I finally got around to reading the book this year. I adored this book, just so beautifully written and very compelling and engaging, full of enchanting characters. Some characters you love, and then some characters you just love to hate because you want to see them get their comeuppance. And yeah, just even though this takes place during the civil rights movement, this book does have its very fair share of really dark, horrible moments, but this book is also very weirdly humorous and quirky with how it's written and the humor and whatnot. And yeah, I appreciated that, because this book can get pretty dark and intense on occasion. And yeah, I appreciated those moments of levity and joy and humor, because it made getting through the book easier. But yeah, love this book. Definitely recommend it if you haven't read it already. Next up, at number 4, I have a trilogy, and that's the Magician's Trilogy by Lev Grossman. I wasn't sure if I was going to put this in my top favorite books of the year, you guys, because I kind of went back and forth. I was like, how much did I love this trilogy? Because if you watched my review for the trilogy, I was very split with my opinions, because some part of me loved it, and then some part of me was kind of a little frustrated with it, because yeah, I'm very familiar with the TV series version of Magicians, and I had a very strong bias of loving the TV series heading into this book series. So yeah, my opinions on these books are very like 50-50, but I still decided to go ahead and include this in my favorite books of the year. Because yeah, the more and more I've had time to think about these books, the more and more I am like, I did like this, I really did like this, and I enjoyed them, and I really appreciated what Lev Grossman was doing and trying to say with these books and whatnot. So yeah, if you don't know what the Magician's Trilogy is about by Lev Grossman, it's a series of books following a young man named Quentin Coldwater, and one day he's recruited to go join a school of magic, essentially. And from there, the whole trilogy is about his magical journey of, becoming a magician, essentially. And it's very heavily focused on Quentin, who he starts as in this first book, because yeah, in this first book he can be quite stupid and idiotic, and he's not very likable on occasion in this first book. But yeah, this whole trilogy to me felt like a Bildungsroman, if that makes sense. Like, think of something like Great Expectations. Just yeah, think let's like Great Expectations but with magic almost. Like that type of story, following a young man on his journey from being a boy to a mature man. And that's very much Quentin's story, just him being so naive and then finally growing to love himself and finally growing to love the world he lives in, and yeah, just him becoming very mature and whatnot. And yeah, I love this trilogy and the messages and the themes, and it's definitely like the anti-Harry Potter almost, it's almost like the anti-Harry Potter, and yeah, this really delves into a lot of deeper, darker issues, and it delves into mental health and mental illness, and yeah, just growing from a teenager into a full-fledged adult and whatnot. And I really love that experience and journey that was presented in this trilogy. So yeah, Magicians makes my top 5 for the year. At number 3 is the final book in the Dark Artifices trilogy by Cassandra Clare, and this is Queen of Air and Darkness. Good freaking God, you guys. This book brought out all of the feels. It got dark and intense and wild and crazy. I think I definitely cried a few times in this book. And yeah, it is a big, gigantic book. And just as a whole, this whole trilogy, The Dark Artifices, I seriously feel like this is definitely one of Cassandra Clare's best written, I feel like this is one of her best written, one of her more mature series. It's like she's growing with her audience, when she first started the Shadowhunter books, she was writing for teenagers, and yeah, those teenagers are all now like adults. So I really like that she's matured with her audience. Her writing has matured, her characters have matured to some degree, I guess. And yeah, this trilogy, just one of the best written, just some of the most interesting and compelling characters with really deep, dark backstories and histories, and yeah, a lot of great world building going on in this, really expanding the world of the Shadowhunters and whatnot. And yeah, I'm not really going to sit and give a synopsis about what this particular series is, because yeah, this is the third and final book in this particular series, part of the humongous Shadowhunter universe. But yeah, I mean, yeah, young adult books following people with angelic abilities and powers, fighting demons and vampires and werewolves and all that stuff. I mean, that's kind of the gist of it. But yeah, I'm not going to sit here and go into too much detail about it. Just let you guys know this was one of my top favorite books of the year at number 3. At number 2 is The Nightingale by Kristen Hannah. Whew, this was definitely a emotional roller coaster of a book, you guys. This book takes place in World War II in France, following two sisters, very different sisters at that, because yeah, once again, taking place during World War II, and these two sisters have very different opinions on the war and where it needs to be going and their role and function in the war, because you have the older sister who's a bit more conservative about things, and she kind of feels like we need to stay in our place, we need to be silent, we don't need to challenge anybody, because yeah, she's all about protecting herself, protecting her sister, protecting her family, and yeah, she has like a German officer come to live at her house, so that puts her at even more danger and whatnot. And then yeah, in the meantime, the younger sister, she really wants to fight the war of rebellion for instance. She wants to go out there and fight and kill the German invaders, essentially, and she wants to make a difference and make an impact. So yeah, I love that dynamic between the two sisters. You have the one sister who's like, I'm gonna stay at home, I'm gonna fight my war there, and the other sister who's younger, and she's like, I'm gonna go fight my war out there and make a difference and try to help the cause for us to win and whatnot. So yeah, the Nightingale, this was an absolutely captivating, heartbreaking book, yeah guys, just emotion oozing and pouring from this book on every single page. And yeah, just you're constantly flipping the page because you never know when just something is going, just with the snap of a finger, something is just going to change just like that. And the lives of these two sisters they will just change just like that with just a little thing that will happen. I love this book. Just it's so amazingly written by Kristen Hanna. You can just feel everything around you while you're reading this book, and you feel that terror and paranoia and uncertainty about where things are heading and whatnot. And yeah, I believe this is going to be made into a movie sometime soon, and I'm very excited about that. I think the Fanning sisters, Dakota and Elle Fanning, I swear, I think Dakota and Elle Fanning, if I saw that correctly, Dakota and Elle Fanning are going to be starring in the movie adaptation of this, and that's going to be pretty cool. And my number one favorite book, published pre-2019, if you haven't guessed it already, The Fiery Cross by Diana Gabaldon, this being book 5 in this very lengthy Outlanders series. Yeah, I previously had some issues with book 4 in this series, The Drums of Autumn, because I just really struggled with Drums of Autumn. So I had my concerns heading into The Fiery Cross if I would enjoy this. I ended up really loving The Fiery Cross, yeah guys. It's probably not the best Outlander book, to be quite honest. It's probably not the best, because I think I do still prefer the earlier ones in the series. But yeah, I still really loved and enjoyed this. I always love being with Jamie and Claire and Brianna and Roger and whatnot. And I'm always in awe and amazed with Diana Gabaldon's her skill with writing, because she has such a gift and talent for, you know, getting into the nitty-gritty of historic detail and people and events that are often unheard of. And yeah, she just has such a way with her humor. She has such a quirky way with her humor and how the characters speak, and yeah, even though this series is often very dramatic and dark and intense, it's like she always has that levity thrown in there, you know, to really lighten up the mood. But yeah, once again, this is book 6 no, 5. Yes, 5. I'm getting lost. This is book 5 in this series, so I'm not really going to sit and give a spoiler about what even happens in here, you know. Yeah, just know that it's book 5, following Jamie and Claire Fraser. A little bit of time travel elements kind of thrown in there and whatnot. So yeah, this definitely was one of my top favorite books here in 2019, and I am thrilled to finally get into the next book sometime soon in this upcoming year. Okay, so that was all of my favorite books published pre-2019. So yeah, let's get into my 5 favorite books published here in 2019. At number 5 is The Dream Peddler by Martine Fournier Watson. And this is a book that, when I was sitting here making my top 5 for the books published in 2019, this is a book that kind of just casually slid onto this list without me being really aware of it, because I've read a lot of books published this year, and I was having difficulty figuring out, well, God, what should I put in this list? And I ended up kind of being pleasantly surprised that I decided to put this book on the list, weirdly enough. I found myself kind of reconsidering this book and being like, man, I think I actually really enjoyed this more than I think I did, you know, because yeah, when I did my initial review for this book, I talked about how much I loved this book, but I didn't think it had made as much of an impact on me as I thought it had, because yeah, here it is in this top 5 list for the year. This book takes place in like early 1900s America, in a small farming community, just full of people kind of really not going anywhere with their lives because they're held down by their responsibilities to their jobs and to their families, and there's really no there's really no ability for them to kind of rise in station, I guess, and to kind of go out there and achieve their dreams and whatnot. They're kind of trapped in this small town community, and so yeah, you have all these characters trapped by their station in life, and it's a small town full of people who sit and gossip and whatnot. It's kind of one of those books. And yeah, at the start of the book, this woman, her son, goes missing at the beginning of the book. And then also, just on the day that her son happens to go missing, this mysterious man named Robert Owens, he comes into town and he claims that he's a dream peddler. And what that means is that he kind of like traveling salesman, you know, but he's selling like dreams in a bottle. He claims that you drink this little liquid, you drink it, and when you go to bed, your wildest dreams come true. What you wish or desire, you can kind of play that in your head and whatnot. So that's kind of what he's doing, and yeah, the whole thing going on in this book, is Robert Owens, is he a con man? Are his dreams like legit? Are they fake? What's going on here? But yeah, this book, it's a very uplifting, hopeful book, just really looking at life and death and responsibilities to family and community and home. It's just this ended up being just a very powerful, beautiful book that I kind of was pleasantly surprised how much I enjoyed it. And yeah, I definitely recommend you guys pick this up if you haven't, because it's very, very, very good. At number 4, The Witches of St. Petersburg by Imogen Edwards Jones. This is a book that I read earlier in the year. Really, really enjoyed this. Yeah, this takes place during the last couple years of the Romanov dynasty in Imperial Russia. Yeah, following these sisters who are kind of ostracized from the Romanov court. They're seen as kind of weird and strange, and yeah, the two sisters, they dabble a little bit in the occult, and they kind of worm their way into the Romanov court by getting to Tsarina Alexandra, who has produced 4 healthy daughters, but has yet to provide a male heir to the Romanov dynasty. So yeah, the sisters kind of take advantage of that and dabble in the occult and kind of dabble with things to make Alexandra think that, oh, stick with us, do our magical little things that we're doing, and you'll provide a male heir to Russia and whatnot. And yeah, because these sisters are dabbling in the occult and things get desperate, that's when they finally kind of hunt down Rasputin. Yeah, guys, they're responsible for bringing Rasputin to the Romanov court and whatnot, and we all know how that goes. Yeah, I really enjoyed this book. If you watched my review for this book, I was kind of up and down with this book, because for the most part, I really loved it. I really loved kind of the intensity of it, and learning about these 2 historical women that history is kind of pushed and neglected to the side. But then on the other hand, there's just some moments in this book that were just really very disturbing and a little gross and off-putting. But despite those few things, I still was more positive with this book than negative, if that makes sense, because I still really love the story and really love learning about these historical women. And yeah, very, very well written. I think I love the amount of research that was kind of put into this book. Yeah, just something different for me in regards to the Romanov dynasty, because I have read just about everything in the Romanov dynasty, and this was kind of new and refreshing learning about these 2 women. At number 3, of course, Ruth Ware had to make this list. I think she's been making my list at the end of the year for the last couple years now. And yeah, this is The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. And oh my god, Ruth Ware just continues to outstand and shine with her mystery thrillers, yeah, guys. I just was in complete awe with this book. I hooked and gripped page after page, just dying to know what the hell was going on in this book. And yeah, this book follows a young woman named Rowan. She sees an advertisement for this family. They live like out in the Scottish countryside. They live in this big house that's basically a smart house. Like it's everything in it is run like off of like a cell phone or an iPad, and yeah, like yeah, you hit a button, you can turn off the lights, you can hit a button, you can make the coffee maker go, you can hit a button and you can make the showers go. Like, it's like that type of thing, like a very high-tech smart home. So yeah, Rowan answers this advertisement. She heads down there to be a nanny to this family, and yeah, she does get the position. She gets the position to become a nanny, and on the surface, everything seems good. You know, everything seems good. She's gonna get a good salary, like a really good salary. She's in the beautiful Scottish Highlands, and yeah, this smart home and whatnot, which is really extravagant and really cool. But yeah, things start going downhill. It kind of starting with the children that she's looking after. The little girls, they're moody, grumpy, irritable, and they do not take to Rowan at all. So that kind of starts this downhill sort of thing. And yeah, the big thing about this book, what you need to know about this book, is that what I in particular really loved. This book is told in the format of a letter, essentially. Literally on page 1, this is not a spoiler, literally on page 1, you know that Rowan is currently in jail and that she has been accused of murdering a child. So yeah, the whole book is written in the format of her writing a letter to her lawyer and trying to tell her lawyer, hey, no one is listening to me, no one is believing me, I'm going to lay it all out, here is my story, and I'm going to try to prove my innocence to you, that I did not murder that child. So yeah, that's the entire thing going on in this book. The death of this child. What is Rowan's involvement in that? Is she innocent or is she guilty? And yeah, Ruth Ware, just once again, a very captivating, compelling thriller and mystery. Yeah, full of children that you kind of love to hate because they're just so horrible. It's like, if I was a nanny, I definitely would not want these children to babysit. And yeah, just very intriguing things and an interesting cast of characters in this book. I love this book and cannot wait for the next Ruth Ware book. At number 2, I have The Night Tiger by Yang Chu. Whew, I did not know where to place this book on the list, you guys, because I was kind of up and down. I was like, should I place it at number 1? Should I place it at number 2? I really wasn't quite sure, but I ultimately decided to go with number 2 for this book. This is historical fiction taking place in 1930s Malaysia. You have several different characters you're following in this book, but the two big ones that you're following, you follow a little boy named Rin. He's a houseboy, and his master has just died. But his master had one final wish. He was missing a finger, so he wants Rin to track down his missing finger within like a certain amount of time, because yeah, this is a very superstitious society, and yeah, all the body parts have to be in the grave, you know, in order for the soul to ascend to heaven or whatnot. So yeah, you have this superstitious sort of thing kind of going on with this missing finger, and that in order for Rin's master to rise back up to the afterlife, he needs his missing finger buried with him. So Rin is on the hunt for this missing finger. In the meantime, this young woman, let me look at her name again because sometimes I kind of can't pronounce it without looking at it, Jilin. This young woman named Jilin, she's kind of facing a lot of financial issues, some family issues. She's working a couple different jobs, but yeah, because this is the 1930s in Malaysia, she's a young woman. Yeah, the jobs that she's kind of taking up are kind of frowned upon. And she has a secret job working as like a dance hall girl because she's making a lot of really good money there. And so she's dancing with somebody one day, and she comes into the possession of a little jar, and inside this little jar is a finger, you guys. And I'm sure you can tie in Rin and Jilin's stories right there, you know, kind of what the threads of this narrative are. I freaking love this book. Yeah, guys, I previously read Yang Zichu's The Ghost Bride. I fell in love with that. I've been anxiously anticipating a new book from her, and this did not disappoint me whatsoever. I loved the narrative and the story of this. I loved the characters. I love, it was very, the narrative was just very intricate, and Yang Zichu just had a really good hold of the narrative and how everybody was going to tie in together eventually. Yeah, this book has a lot to do with superstition and family, and yeah, this whole notion of were-tigers, kind of like similar to like werewolves, but were-tigers. So yeah, that's all brought up in here. There's almost kind of like a magical realism involved to some degree. But yeah, I freaking adored this book, and I need another book from Yang Zichu like right now, you guys. If you have not read this one, you might want to get on it because it was very, very good. And at number 1, my favorite book of 2019, you guys, is The Huntress by Kate Quinn. And wow, you guys, wow. Out of every single book I read this year, this book was perhaps just the most interesting and compelling and just wildly insane. It takes place, there are let's see, I'm trying to figure out how to talk about this book because there is a lot going on in this book, and I could spend forever just trying to tell you the plot. But yeah, this book has like 3 different narratives going on. In one narrative, it's taking place during World War II in Russia, following a woman who is part of an all-female bomber unit. And then in another narrative, you have post-World War II, following a pair of guys who are Nazi hunters, essentially. And then in the third narrative, this is also post-World War II, and this follows a young teenage girl. Her mother has recently died. Her father is remarrying a mysterious woman and whatnot. And yeah, the thing that ties all of these narratives together is this Huntress. The Huntress being a female spy, a female assassin within the Nazi party and whatnot. And she's very, very evil and wicked and badass. And yeah, in the timeline, for instance, taking place in Russia during World War II, yeah, she kills somebody that's kind of integral to a couple different characters throughout the narrative and whatnot. So yeah, that's how she kind of the Huntress ties into all 3 different narratives in some sort of fashion, during the war and then after the war. And then yeah, how does she connect to the teenage girl? Remember, I said she's getting a new stepmother, you guys. I don't think that's much of a spoiler. But yeah, I was just in wow with this book, you guys. I was always eager to pick up this book every day, flip through the pages. There was just always something going on. It was never slow or boring. I just freaking love it, you guys. I cannot just repeat that enough. Just every damn page of this book, just amazingly written. And yeah, it's a very complex story. Because like I said, you have things taking place before the war and then after the war. Or sorry, during the war and then after the war. And yeah, in the hands of another author, this book would have been terribly confusing, and there would have been loose ends, you know what I mean? But yeah, this book, there's no loose ends. Everything is tied up. Everything eventually makes some sort of sense. And yeah, I just really was in awe with Kate Quinn's writing, with how she masterfully crafted this very complex story. So you guys, that is it for my favorite books of 2019. In the comments below, what books did you guys enjoy in the year of 2019? Just let me know your thoughts down below, because they might have been books I read, or maybe they're books that I should read, so just let me know what you enjoyed. And yeah, which of my books did you read? Did you guys read any of the books that I enjoyed this year? Just let me know. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye guys.